Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the HAC. Not our standard time, but we don't care because it's been way too long for me and Ale to get together again. And we were actually sadly reminiscing about the last time we spoke because we were 1 point away from Inter the last time we spoke. And now that is obviously not the case. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to discuss here. Obviously, everybody in the chat, thanks for jumping in here. Drop a like while you're in here. Of course, show some love to the Bianconeri Zone and all the hard work Ale's putting in there, doing a fantastic job as well. Ale, my friend, how are you doing?
Good. Like I told you before we went live, good. Like football-wise, personal life, better than football-wise. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's the main thing, that the personal life is good, because I tell you, I was actually having this discussion with Farhead from Turn Giants, and we were just talking about, fans, and Juve's like kind of supposed to be this nice escape for everybody and what they got going into their lives. So I hope everybody lives a stress-free life, because if this is piled on top of more stress, yeah, it's not going to be pretty, all right? But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on this past week, and it's all over the place, and it's par for the course right now. I watched one of your shows, and even in the headline, it just kind of made a lot of sense into the feelings right now. And we're going to get to it with Junto through some of the news here, but does anybody really have a beat or a read on what is going on? We are going to look at that, but we're going to start first with kind of this Anderson deal that fell through, and I want to get your thoughts on it falling through, what you think Juve should do in the backside of it, and how we should kind of act.
I mean, I think for the club, it's for the club, it's a big blow. Or for Giuntoli, it's a big blow, I think, because we're going to need to sign free agents. Like, I don't think we have the money to fix everything with transfer fees. I don't think we have that. I think the Anderson one, it didn't really make sense for a lot of fans, maybe, because I never said, I always have been a big fan of Anderson, but I said I will talk about Anderson after the window was closed. Now we need to talk about it, but if we signed him, I needed to see what the plan was. Is he going to be the main guy? Is he going to play 40 games out of the, I don't know, potentially 60 plus we're going to play next season? Then I have a massive issue with it, because I thought we're going to sign Anderson and we're going to sell Sule. It's plus Valenza, clean, big time for the club, and you got Anderson on a free. So I was like, yeah, for the club, in their mindset, it's a massive blow. It's a free agent. They probably banked their hopes on a lot, and it's gone now. For the club, like for me personally, watching it, no, I like Anderson, but I don't know, like adding Anderson to the mix wasn't making me think, here we go, next level. So it's not to that extent. I just thought the story was funny. Like the reporting was hilarious, and this goes for every single source basically out there besides Alfredo Pedula, who's been very consistent with it, and we kind of all acted like he wasn't speaking, me included. It's like, yeah, whatever, I guess. But he said it was never really that close. The club had a feeling he was not really 100% committed, so they were like, whatever, let's let it go basically. But I have no doubt in my mind that Giuntoli is sitting there and he's like, F this, man. That was one piece of the puzzle I didn't need to worry about. And now I need to worry about, potentially diverting some of the funds we freed up to that area. Or, like now everybody's suggesting, Sule can stay. That was also the funny thing, because Tuttosport probably printed like 100,000 copies already out with the front page. They changed it, and in the same they changed it midnight, and midnight they already had transfer news on Martial and Greenwood. I'm like, you guys are lying. Like you were lying literally an hour before. So that's why I thought it was funny, but for the club, I don't think they're laughing. I don't think Giuntoli was laughing with it, to be honest.
Yeah, It is going to change things up. We were talking about it in the green room before we came out here live that if you're looking at the free agent pool, it is very, very soft and weak in terms of forwards. And, Martial getting thrown out there and, Apex right away here. If we sign Martial, I'm done with this club for the time being. You have, the Sule. Now, do we look at moving somebody else if we're not going to try and gain that capital on Sule? Well, then you're looking at guys that can make that same type of capital probably right away are Bremer and potentially Hoyson, although I don't think as much as Sule, and I'm not really buying into the numbers around Hoyson just yet. So it's kind of difficult. It's a difficult swing here, and I don't really know. I was talking about this with you in the green room, and I think personally I've been very vocal about it that we should shift into looking at the less expensive option or a free in the midfield and maybe going the route of a Jorginho if that's available to us and a Samardzic or a Goodmanson. And that way we have some funds left over depending on who we sell to approach a forward that we might have to spend a little bit of money on. Luis Alberto has a situation around him where maybe he could be a cheap pickup, but are you kind of agreeing with me that maybe we should look at spending less in the midfield and spending up top to do it? It's tough because you still want to boost the club. And I wouldn't do a free just for the sake of free because
Yeah, I mean, we need to address that midfield. I know
yeah.
we kind of played with it for too long now, and we have been in this situation. Remember when we signed Bremer, it was the midfield. Then Bremer came available, and we're like, yeah, spend it up. Like at one point, but there's always an issue now. The Bremer thing can be an issue again, but that midfield, it needs massive help. Like it lacks just pure quality. Somebody who can really drive the ball. Somebody who can play that final ball. McKennie doesn't have that. Rabiot doesn't have that. Locatelli cannot really show that at this moment in time. We need to help that midfield big time. And when people talk about Jorginho, and I'm not even the biggest Jorginho fan, if I'm being completely honest, but on a 2 year deal, because one is not going to happen, it makes sense. It makes sense, even though like it kind of hurts me to say that because I've always been against signing Jorginho. But we need so much. We're gonna have some bridge gaps here and there, and we thought Di Maria was gonna be a bridge gap to Sule, and then Allegri never used Sule, and at the end of the summer we were like, yeah, is Sule good enough? So that was a wasted opportunity. But we're gonna need to sign free agents like the Samardzic one as well. I like him. I thought, in the summer it's probably going to move the needle a little bit for us. Probably would have, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. If you see at the collapse we had, it was more than just we like an attacking midfielder. It was just mentally as well. But yeah, we're gonna need to sign. Like I said so many times on my channel, we will come on from now or like from the end of the season until the summer ends. We're gonna have videos where like, oh my god, fantastic news, and we will have videos the following day where you're like, what the hell is the club doing now? It's gonna be one of those summers. You will probably talk about, man, we're signing, I don't Turam, from Nice, amazing news. The next day, man, Bremer is gone. Like it's gonna be that type of summer,
And
and I
yeah.
also understand why, but it's gonna hurt. Like it's gonna hurt because I will have the feeling I can predict it now that I'm like, man, that midfield got boosted, and then I'll turn around. I'm like, that backline is not good enough now. We have an issue there, and that's my biggest worry right now.
And that's going to be the toughest thing for Juntelis to try and balance this thing out to the point where you do boost the midfield while keeping everything, in check. Because,
Yeah.
again, like we even pointed out before we started looking at this, somebody's going to have to go to raise the funds for the Mercado. So, your big ticket guys right now at the moment are Bremer, you have Hoyson, and you have Sule. Those are the real profit guys there. And do you move Bremer at this point in time? I don't think it's a good idea going in.
When it potentially, or like not a good idea, but let's say I don't even say Thiago Motta, but let's say the new coach comes in and he says it's a back four. There are question marks with Bremer in a back four. You know, my issue is like, okay, but I know the replacements are not going to be up to the level as Bremer was playing in the back three, if that makes sense. You know, you can get a player who's good enough in a back four, but he's not going to be up to the level as Bremer is in a back three. You know, that's my biggest issue. You know, even the links with Calafiori, they're all nice, but I will not enjoy them if we sell Bremer, if that makes sense. Like it's one step forward, two step backwards, and that's going to be the big task for Juntili. Like he's going to need to find a balance to juggle between those two things, you know, and find a way to say it's one step forward and absolutely no steps backwards. But it's going to be tough because we're going to lose players. I think we will be talking about Vlahovic potentially leaving. If an offer comes in, the club will sell anyone at this moment in time. If an offer comes in, they will sell anyone besides Yildiz.
Yeah,
Like they will listen to
and
every offer right now.
we're gonna
They will.
talk about Yildiz as well, but yeah, it's a difficult way to kind of look at things, and that's why, for me, the Sule one with Anderson falling through, you can make an even stronger case now that, yeah, maybe we do keep him around. Obviously, looking at these targets up top that really aren't good. And Anderson would have been good for a depth purposes. But again, if he was going to be the main guy, I don't really necessarily buy into that. But something's going to have to give. Alex P he's saying it's better to part ways with Bremer on our terms rather than have our hands tied next year. We aren't going to build around him anyway. So maybe you do move Bremer and we go to a back four. I like Calafiori, but you're going to also need a little bit of help too. Hermoso on a free would be nice, but he's going to have we're going to have some competition there too. So it kind of brings up another question as well, is came out of this Anderson thing, and it was the allure of the club and Juventus, and people feel that Giuntoli is going to be dealing with this as a problem right now in trying to pick up guys, and maybe we saw it with Anderson. What are your thoughts on that?
On
On like just the allure for new signings, and Anderson ended up taking less to go back home and play for Palmeiras.
I think that's a one. I think like the Juntoli, I don't know. Like I don't think he's been treated fair by, I would say, a certain group. You know, because they are taking the frustrations of they're ranting about Juntoli, but I'm not sure what they're ranting about. You know, we had 11 million euros between the summer and January, and they expected him to improve the squad big time. I don't get like I cannot believe that's been a topic right now. You know, I think he's been not scapegoated. Yeah, like he's been put under pressure. I'm like, I'm not sure for what are you guys expecting from Juntli to do with 11 million euros? You know, when people are like, oh, he should have taken Samacic on loan. You think Udinese are idiots? They're fighting relegation. Why would they loan out? We had no, we couldn't even include an option. We cannot renew Rugani until we're certain of Champions League football. That's a reality right now, and people are starting kind of a witch hunt on Juntili. I don't know if Juntili is going to be the main guy. I don't know if Juntili is going to be good enough. I will give him 2 seasons to prove me. One this season to clear out what's there to clear out and choose the direction of the club. Is it Motta? Is it Conte? Is it Palladino? Is it Consensao? I'm just saying something. And then next season is when the real money kicks in. Now you need to show that you're a real sporting director of a top club, you know. But he's gonna make decisions. We will all be sitting here and be like, no, don't like that. That's the type of summer we have. I don't like. I want to keep Sule. By the way, I'm not one of those guys. I'm like, get him out. He's doing at Frosinone. It's pens. He hasn't scored for what was it, 3 4 weeks. You know. But then on the flip side, when we get linked to Morata, the fan base is jumping up, and he hasn't scored since I don't know October or something. Like he has 2 goals since November. You know. So I don't think it's fair to put so much pressure on June. Like there is pressure on him, but you also need to understand what he's dealing with. I don't like the release clause in Bremer's contract. I hate it. I think that's weak, you know, and that goes if it's Juntali, if it's Beppe Marotta, I don't like that. If you're a top club, I don't like these things because the player is in full control right now. I'm not a big fan of that as well. But he's gonna sell one of Sule, Huysen. Junior. It's gonna happen. Like it's just gonna happen, you know. And I don't know. Maybe the positive news for many is Anderson is gone and Zaccagni is signing a new deal with Lazio. But I don't think players or whatever will look at the Anderson deal, because I saw a lot of fans, rival fans saying, "Oh, he chose Palmeiras over Juve." It's a personal choice. It's kind of an isolated thing, in my opinion.
Because this is the question I was asking, because this is what
It's
fans are kind of
it's a
saying
one-off in my.
is the allure of joining Juventus during these kind of strange years for us over these past 3 in this big transition, is the allure kind of lost? Is that something Giuntoli's going to have to fight?
Yeah. Like, okay, I'd still you. I'm sorry. Like, I get what you're trying to say. I get it, but I don't think it's.
It's not me saying it. It's a question just from
Yeah,
what
no,
people are
no.
saying. Yeah.
If you're gonna go for the top guys, yes, but we don't have the money to go for the top guys, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue. If you're gonna sign, I don't know, if you want to try to bring in, I don't know, what's the next, what's hot right now, like one of those players where like, oh, that's a good youngster, everybody's looking at him, you're probably not gonna get him, and that's not because of it's because of the moment, maybe, but it's just because of money. We're not going to get those players. We're not going to be in the mix for those players. So I think he will be fine. His point right now, like we said early on, we need obviously quality, but we need experience. Like, we need real experience in that team. And even if it's one player, I saw Modric coming on yesterday. What did he play? 30, maybe 40 minutes. He came on in minute 80. The way he played, I'm like, oh my god, like, if you can get, it's not going to happen, by the way, but if you get that type of player, just one, you convince him to join the cause, we will take 1,000 steps forward in Serie A. We will, that's going to be the trick. That's the one thing I'm asking Giuntoli to do: sign one of those free agents, one of those players where the team will look at and be like, wow, oh my god. And it's tough. Like, I'm not saying it's realistic, but that's gonna be, if he pulls that one off, I think a lot of people will look at him and will be like, wow. That
Yeah,
this
he's
because
got
that's what
to.
Marotta did at the
You
time
got to
as
do
well.
something. There has to be experience and quality coming in. There has to be one player. I mean, and you're gonna probably have to do it through free agency. It's gonna have to be one of those guys, because I don't think you're going out spending on that. And to be honest, where I'm at right now, I'm starting to think that it would be a mistake to splash anything more than like 45 on Coop Mainers.
I agree.
I've kind of gone back on that now, and I think with the way things are shaping up, and again losing somebody that would have been a solid depth option up top on a free, it's time to maybe shift how we're going to operate. Guys are going to have to be sacrificed. Somebody's going to have to be sacrificed. For Sule, for me, it was just a number of different things. But he's still kind of in the race. However, again, the market and what happens is going to dictate, I think, who they end up selling. Number one, it's going to come down to what the offers are for these
Yeah.
players, and what their options are, what Juve's options are on the backside of that. What's easier and more accessible for them to strengthen in behind that potential sale. And that's what's going to come down to. So we won't actually know. And everybody's got these things going on with Giuntoli and all that. For me, we've been pretty vocal on this channel. We're going to start gauging him when we actually know what his plan is. When we
Yeah.
see him get his team put together, we don't even know who his coach is. Let's wait till he puts together his guys, his team, and then we can kind of judge. But it's gonna be very, very a tricky one for them. But I do agree. I think almost everyone on this roster is in play, and that's why I don't think there's any set like, hey, we're moving this guy or we're selling. No, I think it's gonna be kind of this, not a freewheel, but it's gonna be a wait and see and exploring a lot of options. And I think that's kind of going to be the way it is. It's going to be a lot of feelers. But in terms of the allure, I don't think Juve's lost any allure. I think it comes down to these players and what their desires are. Because if a player is looking for money, Serie A is not going to be the first place he's looking.
No.
Okay, so that's got to be number one on everybody's mind. Is if it's money, you're not going to get what you can get in the Prem, or even Saudi for that instance. So that's number one. But if a guy is open to coming to Italy, no, I don't think Juve has lost its allure. And I think we are still going to be up there in terms of the perception outside and coming in. We'll always have that history, that big club and whatnot. So, no, I think it's the finances that really dictate the allure of Serie A, not necessarily Juventus. And I think we're kind of on the same page with that one, Ale.
Yeah. I don't. If, like you said, if a player is open to join Serie A or is willing to come to the Serie A, uh, we're top at the list. I
Yeah.
do believe that we're top of the list.
Yeah.
That doesn't really change, because at the end of the day, if you believe you're that guy, you believe you can take the club back up there really, really quickly, kinda.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm fine. Like, we got good players when we were coming off seven. New
Yeah.
coach. And we got Liechtenstein. Okay, it wasn't Serie A. You got a player like Vidal, Pirlo joined. So you can do that, but I need one thing. Like, I need one sign of Juntali. Like the one signing where I'm like,
We need a
yeah,
statement.
yeah, statement, and it doesn't need to be an insane type of player. You need to splash 80 million. I'm not even asking, but just the quality and leadership, like both of them combined. That's what we need. And
Yeah.
I say Modric because he's a free agent. Like, that's
Yeah.
it.
And
It's
at
not going to
38
happen,
years
but
old, can still ball. It's,
I'll take him. Somebody said in the chat, people will complain he's old. He will dominate Serie A, no issue. And you
yeah,
have Fajardi
10,
back. He can learn from that. No issue.
10 to 12 mil for Luis Alberto, 14 mil. If that offer, if that presented itself to Juventus, do you think it's a move they should look at?
But they will jump on it. But I don't. I don't think. I don't think. I don't think Lazio are gonna do it. I don't think Lotito made it already very clear. He said, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, you can say whatever you want in front of the camera, Alberto. Luis. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, you sign a contract. Don't cry. I like that from Lotito. That's how it should be working. You sign the deal. You're owned by the club. If you want to go, find the money for us. There's no way you can just walk. So I don't think it's gonna happen. But if the club, if let's just say 12 million euro, Juntito will sign him up, unless
I
he's like,
think
I don't want to play in Serie A anymore.
Yeah, I think there's
I don't
way
think
too
that's more
much
the
going on
case.
behind the scenes there because it's been rocky for Luis Alberto for 3 seasons now and a lot of weird stuff going on there. I was very surprised he even signed the renewal in the first place in November or October, whenever it was. It was very, very weird. And I think that there's just a lot of weird stuff going on behind the scenes. And I think there may have been promises in there that have been retracted in some way, shape, or form that would lead him to just like something has gone on. So it's really weird, and I think it's far from over. But we know Lotito and how he is. But if a guy like that is sticking around against his will and whatnot, I think ultimately Lotito would move him because the thing is that Lotito's gonna move him. He's not against moving players. It's just got to be a deal. Is it going to be 14
Yeah,
million for us? I doubt it. I doubt it that it would be
no
14
chance.
million for Juventus, but we can dream and hope because I would put him on that list you were talking about before about one guy that comes in that would bolster the midfield and help us. Luis Alberto would help us a lot. Modric, Jorginho, these are guys that I think we have to start looking at and then spreading out the money on other guys to bolster squad. Juntali's got his work cut out for him, In terms of the defense, Bremer, Hoyson, we kind of talked about that, but there's a lot going on with Juventus in general. We had the Cristiano Ronaldo thing that just now with having to pay him 50% of all that. And man, this Ronaldo thing, it's just, it kind of sucks for me because I was talking about this with Fard too, that like having a guy of that caliber join your team should always be like awesome and just epic whatnot, but it's just marred and symbolic of just this brutal pivotal point where things just kind of started going sideways for us. How do you look back to his time with Juve?
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Um, I saw some, I saw somebody saying on Twitter, "Do you still consider him a legend?" And I was confused because
I
I
never
missed them.
considered him a Juve
I
legend. He's not a Juve legend.
apparently many did, and I was confused. I was like, "What did I missed something? Like, where was I those last 3 years?" Like, when people go mad, like if he's own money, he's own money. Like, it's as simple as that. You don't need to blame the player. If you are own money by your manager, and you get that money, and the manager says, "Oh, now the company's in trouble." I don't think your coworkers should be like, "Oh, why are you asking for money? Like, it's your money." Like, everybody would be asking. Like, if you have 10 million euros on the bank or 10 euros, you're gonna demand the money you're owed, because that's what the contract said. So I'm not mad on Ronaldo. If he demands his money, he demands his money. Like, everybody would do that. You just need to be mad on the guys up top. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, we need to stop doing um we need to stop doing, "Oh, it's never us." It is, like, it's literally us right now. When Agnelli stepped down, and this is what with Allegri right now. What happened in the past, you cannot never take away, and you can praise that, and you can be proud of that, you can enjoy that, you can think about that, but you cannot forget the bad. You cannot just dismiss the bad moments. He left the club in a shambolic state. That's a fact. Look, we talked about Giuntoli right now, what he needs to deal with, and now he needs to deal with 10 million euros less as well
Yeah.
on top of that. That's just what it is. So you can say those 9 years, unbelievable. We're never going to see that again, probably in our lifetime. It's insane. But the following years, he set up the club for this, right near where we are. Excuse me. He set us up for that. So you need to address that. You need to address that, because 4 years is a big sample size. It went all downhill, and you need to blame him for that. You need to blame Alcon, also Alcon, because he never stepped in. You need to blame Agnelli and whoever he had chosen to work with. Was happy to let Marotta go and give it to Paratici. Well, how'd that turn out? Like, so you cannot just blame Ronaldo. Like, he wants his money. Like, you
It's
cannot.
not,
It's like
yeah, and
Ramsey. Whenever
it's
when he
not
had his
blaming
contract,
him.
or
There,
Khedira, and people are like, "Leave your contract." Why?
there's
Why?
no there's no ill will from me to Ronaldo. He's owed his money. It's a pain in the ass type scenario because it's symbolic of where things started to go sideways for us, and he's obviously at the forefront of it. But it's not him personally. It's a decision management made, and it ties in line and is associated with when Beppe Marotta left, and that's kind of a key pivotal moment for us moving out of there because it seems like it's been very confused from the top in terms of what we wanted to do. Everything has seemed a mess
Yeah.
since. Like right down from picking a coach was handled shambolically. Like it was a joke. It was a joke how we dealt with that scenario. And then all of a sudden, the transfer markets were splashed like flash signings with just garbage around it. And you kind of took Ronaldo, who, like I said, he is a legend of the game. He's one of the best to ever play it, but he is not a Juventus legend. Okay, that's the
No.
difference. But he was fastest to reach 100 for us. He did his job, no question. And I still say, knowing what we know now, you'd probably go back there and say, no, Juve should never have signed Ronaldo. But at that moment in time, there is, no way I think anybody could say you're not going to add Ronaldo to that team if you had the opportunity. Of course.
Yeah. No,
Marotta,
no, I
the one
agree.
being on the inside, saying that, hey, he was the one that apparently was saying no financially, like we can't do it's gonna, and he must have saw the writing on the wall. He bailed. For everyone involved behind the scenes, that should have been kind of like an eye-opening thing. But for us on the outside, it looked like maybe he's a bit petty because he got circumnavigated and Paratici was the guy that landed Ronaldo, and we're all, flashed out about this thing. But at the end of the day, I still say you go back 100 times over and sign Ronaldo when you have the opportunity. We just couldn't put the rest of it together. And then you run into a situation like COVID.
Yeah.
We were kind of all in with Ronaldo. And when it bailed, I think another kind of thing is we probably should have pulled the plug on that thing earlier, because you turned into a place where, okay, we add this piece, you try to get over that finish line, it doesn't work. Okay, now we need out because we got to rebuild and we got to retool. And we didn't do either. We drug it out and restricted ourselves financially. That's why I think management, that's where it really, really went sideways and in a hurry. But it is around that Ronaldo, that Ronaldo signing, and he'll be kind of at the forefront of it. But for him, standalone, he did his job and then some, man, as a player. But there were some prices we paid, Everything was about him. Our free kick takers, all this, like, you have Ronaldo around, and yeah, you see some of the cons with it too. But we were not tooled properly to have him around. I think ultimately is how I feel. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, like it's tough to be, or like the situation we're in now, kind of. If there was no COVID, we wouldn't be in this issue. That's what all I have to say. We lost a lot of money. It did, like, marketing wise, it all fell to pieces. It did. We made some very weird decisions at the time, but you watch Ronaldo play for your club, you kind of take that, but I think it's easier now to say, oh no, because how it went.
Yeah.
But at the time, I remember when we were in those conversations, everybody was like,
It was
there's
unreal.
no way. It was unreal. Like, I remember that evening, because headlines come out just at midnight over here, and I saw the headlines in Spain. I think it was AS, talking about Ronaldo and Juve. I was like, ugh, not doing this. And then it snowballed extremely quickly, and I was like, unbelievable, it's actually happening. He's actually willing. And that was when you said, the allure, do players want to come? The fact that he wants to come to Juve, I was like, damn, you know why? Why would he want to come to Juve? I was confused at the time. I couldn't believe it, because I was like, why does he want to do that? What does he see in the team? And he saw something, and COVID didn't help. Like, it didn't help. It set us back so many. Like, and then you have Pirlo, unexperienced coach. Like, it was a snowball effect of awful decisions. That's what it is. And I think that happened because Marotta was not there. Would he have stayed? Would we have been in a different scenario? Maybe, but I think he was so opposed that the club was like, "Yeah, you're not part of it," and that was probably the biggest decision,
Yeah.
or the biggest mistake. Letting go of Marotta at the time. We thought we can do it ourselves, and we couldn't. He went to Inter, who are a shit show, and look at them now.
Yeah. It's the Marotta one at the time. Yeah, it was. If I go back in time, yeah, you do everything at all costs to keep that guy around, man. It's tough, but Giuntoli's got his work cut out for him. It's gonna be interesting. You guys, everybody on the chat, start dropping in your storm the barn questions. We got a little bit more to tackle here with Ale. Don't forget to like the video, of course, but. The Ronaldo thing, it's just, like I said, for me, ultimately, I still see it as a shame. I'm with you. It was hyped up like crazy. It was shocking how it all unfolded, and rather quickly. It was exciting. It was awesome. One of the best to ever play joining your club. Everybody would want that. And for me, the allure will always be there with Juventus. If players are looking at coming to Italy, we're the biggest club in Italy, and I think the allure is there. Right now, as a whole, Serie A is kind of suffering and needs to get it all together and push forward. But yeah, this thing, there's nothing to really be upset about. It's more frustrating more than anything, like I said, just because of the fact that here goes another 10 million euros for this. But if he's entitled to it, he is entitled to it. And again, it's something that has been mismanaged. Agnelli, for all the good he did towards the end, it really, really went sideways. And we're still feeling the
Yeah.
effects. The light is at the end of the tunnel, though, because there are fans out there that are feeling just doom and gloom and like, man, everything around this club is a mess. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There's just a little more trenching left to do before you're out of that tunnel. So that's all I gotta say is that the light is there at the end of the tunnel, but Giuntoli definitely has his work cut out for him. Okay, we do have a game coming up tomorrow. We're going to talk a bit about the game and where we were the last time you and I talked. My God, compared to now. Jesus. We got Milik that is back in the squad list. We have Keane and Miretti who are out. Last time you and I spoke, 1 point away. Yeah, we got some tweaks to do. We could try this, we could try that. We could do a little bit more. We've done nothing in that regard, and we have gone through equaling one of the worst stints historically for Juventus in terms of points per matches and everything. Ale, your thoughts going into this and just the matches in general as we get close to winding down the season? Your thoughts here.
I'm like I said on my channel, if we are gonna get Champions League football, it's because other teams are gonna lose points. We're not gonna win a lot of games. I don't think we're gonna win tomorrow. I don't see, from what I've seen the last, I don't know, 11 games, Coppa Italia included, 12 games. The proof is we cannot win games. Like those are just facts. We cannot win games consistently. I don't see how we're gonna win. I watched Cagliari play. They're fighting for their life. They have a good field factor. We have the opposite right now. We're all like, the only thing, we're also fighting for our lives, but for different lives right here. One at the bottom, one at the top, basically. But yeah, like nothing. Like watching this team, there's not one thing we do good. Like not one. At the time when we were not conceding, I was like, we're not defending. Like we sit so back deep. If that little click doesn't click anymore, and one player's like, I'm not doing this. Like I'm done. The other person will be like, I'm not running that extra mile as well. If you're not doing it, why would I? And then it will collapse. And that's kind of what happened right now. It collapsed, and they have no idea how to bring that puzzle back together. And you have Allegri on the sideline, and that's why I want to change. He's overseeing this, and he doesn't do anything. He doesn't make tweaks, like we said off air. Like for like subs. It's like he goes to bed at night and he's like 60-minute, Chiesa off, 75-minute, Sandro on. Like no matter what happens, those are the subs basically. And then even the Torino game, yes, in the first half it could have been over, but my issue is why in the second half did we had absolutely nothing? You can have an off half, like it can happen. You can miss a chance here and there, and I'm like, it can happen. I watched Liverpool on the weekend play Crystal Palace. If if you saw the chances they miss, like the quality of chances, the chances Vlahovic missed, or the open goal, they missed six of them, like literally six of them. If that happens to Juve, I'm like, blame the players. Like how on earth? But like I've said many times, Dusan misses one or two chances, and then the second half, it's done. It's like we did our job in the first half. It didn't work, whatever. We take the points, and not once in these last, or like 2 months since we spoke for the Inter game, have I seen Allegri make a tweak or make a decision to say, you know what, I'm going for it. He always has an excuse. We don't have time to test out Yildiz, Chiesa, and Vlahovic. And like you did since December, you actually did. You had the time, one game a week, and now he has the excuse of, but Milik and Keane are not fit. I need to have somebody on the bench. You don't. You go out there and you're trying to win the game immediately from the get go. And then you figure, like, whatever happens, you figure it out. He goes into the game with, I need to win it late. That's how he goes into the game. He doesn't go into the game with, I need to win it from minute one. I'll recommend to watch Jurgen Klopp's video on YouTube. You can look it up. It's a video about maybe 5 seasons ago, and the players speaking on him, and he talking about it, and his coaches, and they said, we know at minute 60 we're gonna need to make subs, 100%, because we go at 1,000 miles an hour from minute one until minute six, and we kill off the game. That's what we do, and then we make the subs. And that's their mindset. Their mindset going into the games is, we're gonna win from minute one. But Allegri, he admitted it today, saying, I need to have a sub very late. I'm like, you don't. You figure that out very late. If you're not winning the game, it is what it is. But he goes into the games, keep it close, winning late. I completely dislike that. I dislike that, and the frustration from the players. I mean, it's so clear. And Chiesa was right. He was like, I'm always the first sub. Do I play well? I'm sub. Do I play poorly? I'm sub. Do I play okay? I'm sub. At the same time, you know, it's not fair. It's not fair to any player, and he's not having the best of seasons. Because I'm not saying that, but it's just not fair. I've seen Rabiot play rubbish for weeks, and he just plays. He plays on. You know, Miretti, now he's injured, but he disappeared again. Like, the management of players, I completely dislike. Like, and that's why I'm like, I want to change. I know the team is not good enough, but this is not healthy. It's toxic between the fans, but it's even toxic in the locker room, I think, you know, with the players right now. Because you have a feeling, or I have a feeling, that certain players are not forming a clique, you know, and disliking the other players, but agreeing on, we don't like Allegri, and you have a group of players agreeing on, we do like Allegri. It doesn't match. You cannot build a cohesion, good team with that at all.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of rumblings and a lot of speculation about what's actually happened there. You and I had discussion because I was giving you some clarity on one of the rumors that probably came from me that made its way around the community and found you or
Yeah,
whatever
it
about
was you.
the Chiesa
I
thing.
found later on. I found it
Yeah,
later
and
on.
that's what I was getting, and I held on to that one for 2 days before I fired that one through because when source 2, source 3 tell me the same thing, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to drop it out there and we'll see kind of feelings and just let it out there. But would we be surprised? For me, I wouldn't, because I don't think a team drops off to where you and I talk last, 1 point away from the top, and goes this way without it going completely sideways and something more, something bigger being at the root of the issue. Like, there
Yeah.
has to be. It can't just be a performance thing. There is more going on behind the scenes, in my personal opinion. There always has. I don't see a team dropping off to this degree with just a red card in one game to Empoli. Like, there's more going on to it. And I think that what we saw is, yes, they were probably buying in because the results were coming. They had a chance to do something special. I think once that disappeared, now we're seeing the body language. We're seeing the attitude of a team that ultimately doesn't believe in what they're doing out there. And whether that's from their own accord, whether that's from coaching and approach, one way or another, I feel like this team has just lost any sense of belief in itself and confidence. And I think they portray to me kind of the feeling all of us as fans have, and that's, we just want the season to end. And I feel like the players also right now, and even Max to some degree, they just all want it to end. And maybe they're taking it for granted that they're gonna just qualify because of where they were points wise at that time for Champions League, and allowed things to just slip even further. But for me, you just you can't keep coming trying to dig yourself out of a hole year in, year out. And I think there's a certain team Max is right for, because he defines individual roles, which is why you need the individuals to take out that role. But there's nothing for the collective from Max.
Yeah.
And we need something for the collective, in my opinion, because we don't have all of those profiles that you can lean on that will carry the burden for the squad and take the team and put them on their back. We don't have those guys. So the collective is very important. I just yeah, it's gonna have to be a change. Now there are fans that feel that, you know, there are some fans that feel like it could go sideways in making a change, but I think we're kind of seeing that. I really fail to believe that even when we brought out a guy that never coached before, regardless of him being Andrea Pirlo, it's like a lot of fans were like, "Oh man, this is gonna draw. He's never coached before." It was something that maybe could have been groomed and grown. I don't think he should have ever been hired in the first place with no coaching
Yeah.
experience. But it goes to show you that I just don't believe that we're going to drop off completely. And I think there's been changes out there that we have seen, that very minimalistic changes in approach that have also sparked something different. I just think if we keep going this route, I don't see. I didn't even believe he could get a turnaround this season from last in attitude, approach, and whatnot. I give him credit because he did. We fought until we just couldn't fight no more for whatever that reason is, but you can't keep asking this turnaround. So it's going to be interesting to see. Malta is the name. I wouldn't even be surprised, and I'm going to raise this question to everybody in the live chat. You, of course, Ale, my guest. Do you think maybe some smoke screens here? And do you honestly feel confident Malta's coming in? How
No, it's
confident on
not
a scale of 1 to 10 are you that we even see a coaching change?
10.
Oh, yeah, it'd have to. Like, it just has to be.
Like
Has to
you
happen.
cannot, you
Has to
cannot,
happen.
yeah, you cannot come out in the end of the season and be like, here we go, Allegri. Like you just can't. Like it's impossible. Like if you do that, I will be lost for words. I would. I'm not so certain it's gonna be Multi. Like he is the, I don't want to say like the number one target from the media, basically. I don't know. Like it could be a smoke. I don't think it's a smoke screen, but I don't think it's as advanced as many suggest. I think he is the main candidate, but many things can happen. He can wake up and he said, you know what, I'm taking Bologna to the Champions League, and that's it. I will do one more season, maybe. That can be a factor. It's not 100% certain, but I'm it's a 10 that we're gonna change coach. Like it's toxic. Like it's literally toxic within in the club. I do have like things will come out once we move on from Allegri, and you need to move on from Allegri. Like the fact that the club hasn't had any talks with him is not normal. Like it's May. Like in a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, it's May. It's the last month of the season. Like it's not normal. Yes, you talk about things at the end of the season, but it's May. You meet with your coach, like, and the fact that his agent came out and threw Juntuli under the bus, I'm like, you're done. Like you cannot do that. I think they know it's 100% done right here. And I don't know if Motta's the right choice. I don't know. It's just what I do know. We need to change. That's the only thing I know for certain. And then it's up to Juntuli to set up the new direction of the club because Alka made it extremely clear that it's him. You figure it out with the help of my two buddies up top who will guide you through the finances of all this, and
Yeah.
they'll give you guidelines you need to follow. But other than that, I don't think Juntli wants to tie his future to Allegri. I think it's very clear, even if you read between the lines, and he needs to do his own thing. I think it's normal. Like any club, a new owner or a new director comes in, nine out of 10, they're like, I'm doing it my way because I've been brought in for a reason, or I bought the club for a reason. I need to do my own thing right now. Because if he ties his future to Allegri and it fails, you're done. You're
Yeah.
done. So I think he knows that. And come on, like the vibe is just not. The vibe is completely off. Like it's like purely Milan a little bit. Like the vibe is not okay. It's hard to convince the fans to say, "Here we go again, Allegri," or "Here we go again, Pioli." I don't know. I know a lot of Milan fans. I have a lot of Milan fans. Not one is saying, "Yeah, Pioli." Like not one. So I think the club needs to have that feel factor as well. That it's not good what we are doing right now. Like we're scraping through weeks. Like we won 2 games. Was it 2 games out of 10 in Serie 11? Let that
Yeah.
sink in. That's not normal. Like
No.
we did well at the beginning, but like I said, with Agnelli, what happened in the past with Allegri, what happened in the past, even this season with Allegri, what happened? It's the past.
For the
Is Jan?
second half of the season, we're in like 13th in the table for
It's a
points. Like
it's a disaster. Like it doesn't
it's
matter that you were first in the first part of the season. You're 13 right now. Like you need to take that into account.
it's a
And
whole body of work. Absolutely, absolutely. And I
we
mean,
have had
there is
mental
no
collapse for 3 years, by the way. Not like this, but it's
yeah,
a
and there is
recurring.
no right or wrong. Like I mean, here we got under Pirlo, you've created the most big chance. But to be honest, our chance creation, the number is up in general. And big chances are high too with Vlahovic like at the top of the lead. I mean, you just got to take everything with this kind of grain of salt, but it's more the warning signs. It's more the red flags that are
Yeah.
kind of up, and the majority of it is rather negative. And yeah, I mean, the players are going to we need a boost there in terms of quality and everything like that, but I mean, you also have teams with 30 million euro salaries that play really good ball. It's like, something's got to give. Something's got to give. But I didn't choose his profession, okay? He chose that. And when you're in that chair, you bear the most weight. It's going to be a tough one for Juventus, I think, to get out of here. But I do think I agree with you. A change got to happen. It's got to go down. Motta, though, I'm kind of with Alex P. I'm not so sure about any of the links with Bologna in general. We'll have to just wait and see. But, I mean, if we go according to the media, we're rating like 2 clubs this summer, and that's it. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't even necessarily call it a smokescreen, but I truly feel nobody has a read or a beat on what Giuntoli and Calvo are thinking. That's my personal belief, and I'm sticking to it. I don't think any of these guys actually know, to be honest.
Really, really quickly, I agree. And why do I agree? Because if anyone had real links with the club, those links are gone. Like
Yeah.
even journalists like Romeo, like maybe he had some inside guys, which is normal. Everybody is gone. It's
Yep.
Giuntoli, it's Cal, and Giuntoli didn't even bring in his own people. They're still at Napoli or whatever, jobless. So they're
Yep.
coming in very soon, very very soon. So they need to, they might be making up. They might be making up some stories right now. They might make up some stories right now. So
Well, what we're
that's what I'm
seeing
like.
is a lot of them now are turning to opinion. Ale, they're not even turning into reports half the time. Half the time it's just opinions. Like, oh, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. And I'm like, the signs are there that they don't really have a read or a beat at all. Okay. And I stand firm on that. The other thing too is Arriva Bene was loose lipped to like the 10th degree. Okay. So it's completely different there. But we're going to get
Yeah.
into some stories. So LA doesn't believe we're going to win tomorrow. You guys stick around for the preview game or the preview show in the morning. I need some more time on my prediction because it's tough to really get these expectations ramped up. So we'll see how I feel when I wake up. That's pretty much what it's come down to. But you guys, reminder, hey, look at all you in the chat here. Let's go. Drop a like. Let's go. First Storm the Barn question from Adam. If you could take anyone you want in Serie A right now to add to our squad, what player would that be, Ale?
Oh my god. um, Jesus, I wasn't prepared for that one. It's gonna be a midfielder. Um, I'm not a big fan of him, but I'll take Barella. I think. Like,
Yeah, so
I don't
Barella
I don't
jumps in my
dislike him as a
mind
person, but as a
immediately.
player, it's
Uh,
Barella.
yeah, the guys that jump up to my head immediately are Barella, Leao. I love Leao personally, and I think I know what people say and all that, but like I think he's just an unreal player. It's just about trying to get him on all the time. When he's on,
That's it.
insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's got some issues with bringing that all the time, and I get it. But those are the two that stand out. But Barella for me, we got Barella. Bastoni. We got Çalhanoğlu, Lautaro, Coop Mainers. Well, there you go. If Coop Mainers is in your list, who knows? Maybe, just maybe. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Next Storm the Barn question was from Aldo. Aldo coming in here saying, if you could swap an entire squad with another team in Italy, who would you swap? What? So we're just
I mean,
turning over the roster?
I think that's very obvious. No, I'm not going to say it, but I think it's obvious.
Yeah, Bologna. So we go. We're trying to do that in the summer, anyways. Oh man, that's funny. Xerxes a good shout.
I'll take him. I said Barella because I've watched Xerxes play in the Belgium league on a weekly, and I cannot believe the transformation he has. Like I'm stunned, and I cannot believe it. That's why I'm like, skeptical. But he's like, if we sign Xerxes, we've been linked with him, and people are like, I don't want him. I'm sorry, you guys are crazy if you don't want Xerxes. You're crazy. I know he's not a priority, quote unquote, but if we sign Xerxes, I'll be over the moon, you know.
Yeah.
And if you pair him with Mota, you will create something up top that's gonna be very potent.
It would be pretty sweet. I just don't know how to make that work, and everyone's saying Milan, but who knows, because they're starting to get things wrong all over the board. So who knows? Sudakov is coming. The noise is gone. Oh man. Well, the noise stopped on a lot of players, but it's kind of like noise... flavor of the week thing, it feels like, with the media, you know. Oh, let's go with these guys for a bit, let's go with those guys this week. That's kind of what it feels like. I don't know. You gotta take everything with a grain of salt. You and I say that all the time, man.
The noise on Sudakov is gone because he has a 100 million release clause.
100 mil release?
Remember when he was linked with us for 35 and now 100? So that's why the noise is gone, because the media cannot mess about with 35 million euros.
It's 100 that the release clause on him? That's how you set a release clause, not 70 million on the best CB in Serie A. Jesus.
That's
Inter put 95 on Thuram, for Christ's sake. We're always giving discounts. Come on. No more discounts.
Does he have 95? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Thuram's got a 95 mil release clause on his head. And they signed him for what? He was a free, I think. He was a free signing.
He was free. We signed, there you go. We basically made the same. We set the price for the fee we paid for Bremer, almost like unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah, it just that Bremer one kills me. It kills me. But let's see how it works out in the long run. Maybe they were planning on moving him anyways, and it doesn't really matter. Maybe he's been the plan to sell this summer the entire time. I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. That's the fact of the matter. Now, Ale, before we sign off, always a pleasure having you on, man. Really appreciate it. We try our best, everybody, to do these, 2-3 weeks, but it's tough. He's got a lot going on. I got a lot going on. Found out today he's building his own house, for God's sakes. I know what that's all about. So stressful times, but I want you to just kind of lay out what you're looking for to wrap the season up, and just kind of, the Coppa Italia. Like, are you confident we at least get that and win that trophy?
I'm not confident. I want to win it, but I think the priority, it's sad to say it because I don't want to be that club or guy, but the priority for us is Champions League. We need that money big time. It's like, if you need, like, it's unbelievable that I'm going to say it, but if you tell me you don't qualify for Champions League but you win the Coppa, I will say goodbye Coppa. Forget about that trophy, because for the future of the club we need Champions League football. So my expectation is we're going to be stressed for Champions League football until 2 games at the end of the season. I think we're going to drop a lot of points. I do think we will find a way to win the Coppa Italia. I'm not confident, but I think we will find a way. It's 2-0 up against Lazio. You cannot really mess that up right now. Like, surely you get a goal away to Lazio. You must, and then you should be wrapping that up. And then in the final, Atalanta, Fiorentina, it's a one-off. I think we will find a way to win that Coppa Italia. My worries, they do lie in the league. We play Cagliari. I don't think we're gonna win tomorrow, and I'm genuine. It's not to be pessimistic. Like I really do not believe we are gonna win against Cagliari. If you just recall, Cagliari games are always ugly, scrappy, and on top of that, they're picking up points for some reason lately. Even at Inter, fighting for their lives still. And the moment we're in, I'm like, yeah, I'm not confident in the league. That's my biggest worry. Like I'm actually stressed about it. Every single day. Because I know we need the money. And to top it off, when Chesney came out and he talked about money after the game, I was like, wow, like never seen anything like that before
Yeah,
at any club. That was unbelievable.
it's tough.
I'm
I'm
worried.
with Siraj here that I do believe we will find, like, we're going to qualify. It's going to be ugly, but we will qualify for the Champions League. I still think there's points getting dropped from here on out because I think overall I believe in something not being right behind the scenes. Okay? For
Yeah.
me, I do believe that there usually where there's that much smoke, there's some fire. So
Yeah.
I do believe that there are issues behind the scenes that they're trying to work through and will be working through in the summer. We will learn a lot more about Giuntoli Calvo, what they want to do moving forward in the summer. The Coppa Italia, I think we've got one foot in the final already. It can't go sideways in the second leg. I don't expect it to. The final will be very, very difficult, but I feel like this team, the players, regardless of what's going on, is going to pick it up to get that job done just for their own sake, their own pride and everything. It is a final. It's a trophy. I feel like they'll be okay when there's something they're playing for. I think that they've just got comfortable with reaching Champions League, even if they're kind of shit in the bed, so to speak. I
Yeah.
ultimately think we'll qualify. It won't be pretty. It'll be a rocky ride, but the Coppa Italia, I do believe Juventus will win this Coppa Italia. And I think it'll be good for us. And I think it gives Max his kind of feather in his cap that he will ride by, which is we qualified, we reached our objectives, and we won the Coppa Italia. You can have that, Max. I'm fine with it, but I still think ultimately we got to go and look at something else. All right. I do want to say thank you to Oliver, who says, great collab. Hope you do more often. Well, that's the intentions. But, light permits. We're going to try our best. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Again, drop a like while you're in here, okay? We had a bunch on today at not a standard time for us. So I'm glad it all worked out. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time with the preview for the game. Okay, let's get hyped up. I will do a watch along. Ale, always a pleasure, man. Don't stress out. You got enough on your plate right now. Don't let Juve stress you out. But I know, we all want the best for our squad, and we try and, rally the troops and get the support going. And sometimes it gets rocky that it's hard to be, glass half full, and that's the reality of it. But we're almost through the season. It's coming to an end. Let's hope for the best outcome possible, because you're 100% right. We can't afford to not qualify for Champions League. Right now, we will not even think about it or talk about it. Let's just take it one step, one game at a time. Tomorrow, Cagliari. And my prediction I'll give tomorrow, but there's a win coming. I think Juve will go all out early to try and seal games against the lesser opponents. But I think they're going to play it real safe when we have those direct battles with those other guys. That's what I think is going to happen. Hey, time will tell. We'll find out very soon. Tomorrow, Cagliari, my God. Do we have to pray? I'll pray. I'll do whatever it takes.
It doesn't work. I tried, so.
There you go. There you go. Take care, everybody. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao.
Ciao.
Yeah.